My name is Caroline Poynton, and this is my third video today for Rupert Lowe. These are left Reform and joined Restore Britain because of Nigel Farage. When it wants to play.
So you had an 18, 19-year-old running an entire county council, a £500 million council,
and I'm from
with
Manchester,
no life experience, no work experience. We thought, well, we can guide him, we can help him, we can do this.
Caroline.
That's what you want out of a leader. You want to be able to basically have a puppet board. So it was all about media attraction and press attention rather than actually trying to put the right person in the job.
So how do you feel being in Bristol now and backing Rupert?
A breath of fresh air. Right? You don't realise how much you're putting up with until you take the ruby glasses off and remove the plugs from your nose and you go, oh my good God. It was just like, this is just different.
Is there a reason we're looking lovely into each other's eyes? I don't know, you do that. You keep doing that to me.
Hello, this is Will Coleshill reporting for Vox Populi. Today I'm down here in Coleshill in Warwickshire, where I'm speaking to two Restore councillors who are going to explain exactly what's been happening in the local council, where we've got the youngest council leader ever for Reform, but there are a lot of things that seem to be allegedly amiss in the Reform Council.
Hello, I'm Scott Cameron and I am the County Councillor for Coleshill, South and Hartley.
Good man.
Hello, I'm Luke Cooper from the County Councillor for Studley in Warwickshire.
Good man.
So do you guys want to give me a little bit as to your backgrounds and how you
And
came to get
now.
involved in politics?
So professionally, absolutely nothing to do with politics, really. So I've worked in aviation for the last 20 odd years. Did my commercial pilot training and work for an airline now, but in a ground-based role predominantly. I was sat on the sofa one night watching the news, got really sick of what was going on in the world, and I just thought, maybe I need to do something. So went online, filled in the form, and next thing I know, I'm a county councillor. I'm an electrician. I have been since I was 18, but I've lived in France, I've done sales, I've worked in warehouses, I've met lots of people. But when I came back to England and started to work as an electrician again, I started paying attention because Brexit had happened and a lot of things had started not sitting well with you. So I ended up talking to the apprentice at the time, and he dragged me along to a meeting, and I'm like, people have these? And I ended up putting my hand up in the air to be a candidate, and here we are. I'm just an electrician from Studley at the end of the day.
So what were the issues that really got you involved in politics?
I was just, hard-working taxpayers, they get overlooked all the time, and then there was obviously the mass illegal immigration coming in with the small boats, and various other things going on in the country, and I just thought, it's not fair that people are paying their taxes. You've got people sat at home that don't work, that are getting all of this money from the state. They're perfectly fit and healthy, they can work and they're not working. I know some of that sort of nature. And it was that sort of thing. I just thought, enough's enough. We're not getting local services that we need. The councils get all this money. Where's it all going? Because the roads are shambles and there's other services not being handled correctly and things not getting done. So I thought, well, I can either sit here and moan about it or I can have a go at trying to change it. I got involved due to national issues, of course, that we all agree with, but the main thing I've found with the local things that I'm really having problems with is bad faith interpretations of arguments. You're constantly having to argue vibes of a situation instead of the actual subject. You get called names here, there and everywhere, and it's got nothing to do with the proposed subject. And trying to bring back, should we say, fairness to local politics, because we're constantly dealing with what seems to be just bad faith interpretations of what you want to say. Nobody can take you seriously. You're always the bad guy. So you're trying to bring normality back to what the outside people would see as normality. Because when I was just those people, I didn't think about local politics. It just happens in the background.
Very decent men to me.
What they would expect to be happening to actual fruition, which would be good faith,
all three of them actually,
exceptional professional politics, instead of it being high school politics, which you won't see much better.
So you guys were originally elected for Reform, so Do you want to explain some of the events that led to you leaving Reform and moving over to Restore Bristol?
Look how dressed they are, look how they
so
look how they talk, look how the teeth look.
Like many people, I thought Reform was the catalyst that would change things. And I've since changed my views on that. I don't think they are, and I think Restore Britain definitely is.
Yeah.
I was one of the people that went for election as leader, and had I won the leadership, I'd probably now be the leader of Warwickshire County Council. I was never desperate to be leader ever. However, this sort of narrative was spun around me that I would sort of thwart anybody that would go for leadership, and I was basically slandered and defamed by certain individuals that made up a lot of lies about me that were quite damaging, to the point I had to get external legal advice because of the comments that were made in order to slander my name and make me lose the leadership election. And it sort of snowballed from there, really. It was gradual at first, and on and on and on, and then I kept hearing different things from different people. I was like, but I've never said that, or I've never done that. And
that can train other men up to be like yourselves and train women up like me.
And even when I'm putting complaints in to the council or Reform HQ, nothing's getting done about it. I'm not even getting a response. It's just getting swept under the carpet. Why do I want to be in this party anymore?
Yeah.
So I was basically isolated
and that's good because
from the group. That was then twisted to say that I was deliberately segregating myself. And I just thought, well, if I'm not in the party, I'm not being included in anything, what's the point of me being here? Rupert had been kicked out just before our election, and I always thought Rupert was great. And I've been saying for months.
Rupert was great.
As soon as Rupert sets up a party, I'm gone. And on the 13th of February, I think it was, when Rupert announced that he was setting up Restore Britain, that announcement went out about 7 p.m, and by about 20 past my email had already gone, so can I defect, please? So,
he'd already sent his thing out straight away.
Yeah, literally the wheels were in motion straight away for me to go.
So do you want to explain what was the motive behind the attacks that you're saying happened against you and the isolation? Why was it that
like
was
me,
happening against you to stop you being council leader?
I don't actually know. I think it was possibly because I dared challenge the now leader of Warwickshire County Council, Councillor Finch, because originally he posted in our branch WhatsApp group that he was going to go for leader, and because he was the branch chairman, he wanted everyone to support him. I said, unfortunately, I won't be supporting you because I'm going for it myself. And it transpired that he actually stepped down as going for leader and went for deputy, which he was successful at. And Rob Howard became the leader. He beat me by 1 vote, which I said, fair's fair. That's how democracy works, and I had no issues with that. But then things just happened in the background, and all these comments were made, and I was just like, I'm being tarnished here for nothing that I've done wrong.
And you've got the youngest, one of the youngest deputy leaders, or is it council leader? You've got the youngest council leader in the country. How old was he when he took over as leader of the council?
19 years old.
I thought he was 18. I'm 19. He was 18 when he started, and then he was 18 when he started, and then he got to 19 a few months in.
I can't remember exactly. I think he may be correct. I thought he was 19 when he got elected. I think he just not long turned 19. But either way, he is young.
So you had an 18, 19-year-old running an entire county council and under Reform, and what led to this decision?
So, like you say, an 18, 19-year-old running a £500 million council with no life experience, no work experience, which was a bit eye-opening, that's for sure. And what led to it was, as I was told that when I went for the leadership again, so
I'm not being
Rob
funny,
Howard
but that is a bit
resigned,
silly, isn't it?
George had became interim leader, so we had to elect a new leader. And
it's like giving me that job. I wouldn't have a freaking clue.
I was asked to by several people, like, go on, Scott, I think you should give it another go.
What I would
so
be giving another go.
I'll give it another go.
I'm experienced to do that.
I was sort of reluctant to do it, but it was just, I don't even know how we got into the position, really. Borough councillors, obviously not county level, borough councillors
maybe you go up the whole
meetings, they've approached me and said,
but
a memo went round from Reform HQ telling everybody they had to vote for George because they wanted the news and press coverage from having the youngest council leader ever. So it was all about media attraction and press attention.
I think you two men do have experience in a lot of things
which, considering
training people and managing things and things like this. I was going to say things like that.
I believe Reform had put out that they wanted to have people who had experience in life and experience in business and those sort of things.
I'm going to say both had
that
experience.
you don't believe that to be the case.
No. Many a time I brought up this issue with other people, and the response was,
we do need people that have got experience.
We can do this.
Someone like me that wouldn't have a clue.
Waylay your worries because we'll be able to shepherd him through this. And I'm like, that's what you want to have a leader.
Down,
you want to be able to
things I have a clue about.
Or have him.
Say, but it was like,
however they were rationing it. And I was never pro that idea.
You know.
So it was, I was spoiled. I was one of the people that pushed him to go for leader. And it just seemed to have brought him no end of worries because of the attacks against him seemed to have come from nothing. And I think the attacks on Scott, they were sort of pressing in what actually happened to Rupert. Because these same attacks happened to Rupert in the same way that Reform now says about ego and it's all self-interest. The same exact attacks happened to Scott, and it was shocking.
No, it's not about ego.
It was shocking
just about getting a job.
The simile of it, well, I'm still getting over it, to be honest. The fact that it's a farm lad attached to the party gets attacked in the same way. It's strange how upper actions can be mirrored in the lower sections of government without direct input. But there may have been direct input.
A lot of people
I can't confirm, but it's definitely a rumour that was out there.
So what was the ethos? Would you say that it was
I'm not worried because I know that the job's out there for a lot of people.
I think so. I think that I don't think Councillor Finch has quite worked out yet. He's been manipulated from above.
A lot of people.
And I genuinely think that is part of it. I think he's having his string pulled from above by a certain individual. And when I've sort of had that conversation with people, they've gone, well, you're probably right. So there's nobody denying it, but there's nobody confirming it either. So I don't think he's fully in control as he thinks he is.
Well, I'm sure if he were doing an absolutely impeccable job, no one would have an issue with his age, 18, 19, don't care if it's, a 5-year-old with crayons, so long as he runs the council perfectly and fills all the potholes, no one would have an issue. So what are some of the things that you've seen going wrong under his tenure and just in general with the Reform group?
I've raised issues with cabinet portfolio holders not doing their job. They won't even respond to emails. There's one in particular I share a parish council with that don't turn up. I was there on Thursday again. That individual didn't turn up again. Residents are asking me, can you help us with such and such? I'm like, well, I can try, but technically I'm not your county councillor because that's over the border, but I'll do what I can. But realistically, their councillor should be there and they're not being there. So I've raised those questions with George, who's basically just said, well, if you're there, you can just feed the information back. And I'm like, I'm not your guinea pig, to just go out and do your work for you. But more than that, from him, it's the code of conduct complaints that have gone into the council because of the things he's been doing. The Tories put a motion through to say they wanted the letter rescinding, I think he said to the Secretary of State, about home to school travel. And that went through motion, it got voted on. And again, democracy, where did that go? It was voted that that letter should be rescinded, and he just turned around and went, request denied. And it's like, well, the council have just voted on this for you to do this, and he's gone, well, I'm not doing it. It's like, well, where's democracy at work there? And it's just the arrogance that I can do no wrong. Prime example, I think it was Tuesday, Nigel Farage visited Bedworth because of the local elections. He should have been at an event in Leamington, and he was advertised on the flyer as doing the grand opening for this event, and he didn't turn up because he was in Bedworth with Nigel Farage. So it's like, well, are you a man of the people? Are you doing your job as the leader of the council, or are you campaigning for the party that you represent? So it's a bit like, you've been elected to be the leader of Warwickshire County Council, be the leader.
And so did the Reform candidates up here promise to cut council tax during the last election
when they
were elected?
It wasn't on our leaflets, as far as I recall, but verbally, yes, I've heard it. All kinds of taxes in from a national level to cutting council tax. If you ask some of them, they will defend it and say, actually, it just says we will introduce fiscal responsibility to Warwickshire. It doesn't mention council tax, but unofficially, yes, that the council tax was, well, we'll cut this and we'll cut this and we'll cut this. And even in an interview, I think George has said at one point, we're not going to make any cuts, but we're going to cut this, we're going to cut that, we're going to cut the other. It's like, well, how can you make no cuts and cut at the same time? So it's hard to know what to believe with them, really, because one minute it's this, and then the wind blows, and all of a sudden it's this. So
there might be a plumber or
And how
whatever,
much has
but
council tax gone up at last increase?
4.44%.
it could
But
be
it's
all a
okay
bit
because
fake.
it's less than the minimum, the maximum. So therefore, technically, it's not gone up.
There was effort to make it not 4.5 as well. There was a big fuss, right? It's not 4.5. It's not 4. You're like,
Considering
okay,
now.
great. The problem with local politics is the reason not having experience comes in is because a lot of local politics is dictated by national politics, so they're forced to pay a certain amount. So assuming they can come in and change all this has been a hard reality check that they could just admit to, but instead it's
The line.
oh no, which is it's not correct in my terms.
The reality is, running a council is not easy.
No.
I know that. You know that. So about 70% of our budget that goes into the county is statutory services. So you've only got 30% to play with, and every department wants more money than they've got. So it is a juggling act, but don't go out on a whole promotional campaign saying you're going to do this, if you don't even know the inner workings of how it works and what you can and can't do, and then say we're going to do this when you know in reality there's absolutely no chance you can do it because all you're doing is lying to the electorate.
Well, that's what Rupert Lowe's not doing, you see. He's not saying that he's going to do this
to get
yet.
elected and do a job for them, but straight away you're already on the back foot because you've campaigned on something that's not deliverable anyway.
Yeah. It shows respect for the local people because the local people
All
are
you
smart
need to
and
do
they
first,
turn around and go,
all they need to
we'll
do
do best we can
first
for-
is to win it.
for local fiscal means. They'll understand that. It's
Just
not
like
like they're
when
going to turn
they
around
need to
and
win
roll
most of
cuts.
the
It's
election
not-
things, the
Well, we'll
local
cut everything we
elections,
can, we'll
council
try and be fiscally
things, to go
responsible.
get to number 10.
You should be able to say that to the average people in
Well,
your own
exactly.
pub.
And to be able to get
But
anything into number 10,
maybe
like
it's
you
a
say.
respect for voters thing. I don't know. Maybe
You
we'll
know what I
find out.
mean? It's like saying it's not fucking easy, is
And
it?
so,
You know?
have all of the cuts been reasonable? Would you say? What's really happened with the council? Has it been doing an okay job?
No.
I don't think the council officers do a bad job, and reality is they
Don't get
run
me
the
wrong,
council.
some of them,
They
like I say,
are not
from
necessarily
part,
saying
they're
they
still
should,
alright people.
because we've got
some of them.
portfolio holders and they should be taking charge of their portfolios. But I would say 90% of the council
Which is a
officers
shame.
do try their absolute hardest and do a great job.
But, yeah.
As with any large organisation, you are going to get individuals that either can't be bothered or it's easier to just say no.
And there's also individuals
or
there
be a
that
bit
just want to get
obstructive.
paid.
But by and large, I do think most council officers do try to do a good job and stay apolitical whilst doing it, which can be a challenge because I realise that historically a lot of council officers have voted one way in particular. That may be changing, hopefully. But there's never anything political.
Things like that are going to change with free
said,
football.
like when I've discussed with council officers, they've just gone, look, don't really care about politics, look, we're just here to do our job. And I've gone, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I've had some really positive interactions with them. But it is a difficult job. But again, don't commit to cutting council tax and then put it up by 4.4%, 4.44% even.
It's not 4.5.
It's lots of fours, which is not zero, is it? Or cutting it. Whereas North Warwickshire Borough Council, we're in North Warwickshire now, they've increased it by 0%. So we're getting a lot of flack at the moment saying, well, why have the county increased it but the borough haven't then? So, yeah.
So how did it work in terms of voting on the council? Because I spoke to councillors down in Kent, and they said they basically had no
This is the
autonomy
thing with
in
Rupert
terms
Lowe's,
of
he's
how they
done
were
his
voting on
homework,
the
he
council.
knows
What
what
level of autonomy
he knows
did you
what he
have
can and
as
can't
elected
do.
councillors? The
And
people
Rupert
for
Lowe
whom
pushes things through that he can't,
you voted.
well,
Honestly, none.
he
Every
gets
time I went
things
into the
through.
council chamber
He
on a
does it the
3-line whip.
correct way.
So,
Every single time.
every single time.
Yeah,
without
I'm going to
fail.
say Rupert Lowe's
At
thing
least
is the
for one item
correct.
on the
He
agenda, there
manages
would
to
be a
get
3-line
things
whip on something.
spoke
Because
about the
something big would
correct
come
way.
up and they'd be like, no, you can't do that. So at least for a small amount of it, for the most minimal amount of times, I think one meeting we had were on the 3-line whip. The last one we were at, we know that there was it 3-line whips?
There's a couple of three.
It was multiple either way. So it's at no point have we seen no 3-line whips, and this was stated that there would not be whips involved basically in this politics. We'd have conversations about it, and those never took place.
One of the biggest things that got to me was July last year when George was elected as the council leader. He did this speech and said, I've got support of my residents, I've got support of the councillors, and now I've got support of the council to become leader, so therefore I have a mandate to do this. We were all on a 3-line whip, so we had no choice but to vote for him. And then a week before the council meeting, he'd slipped onto the agenda about political assistance, and there was a big hoo-ha about it. We had this big meeting, there was a lot of people furious saying,
That's from Reform Pack, yeah.
we haven't got the money as it is, and now you want to spend £150,000 on political assistance.
Restore Britain.
150 grand for how many political assistants? 3. And who would they go to? Would it be...
So the 3 largest parties, so Reform, the Conservatives and the Lib Dems. The Lib Dems did a lot of shouting and screaming and saying, well, this is a waste of money, we don't want political assistance, and they've got one. The Conservatives have also got one now, and Reform have one, who just happens to be George's best mate. So definitely no nepotism there. And I actually called it out in the meeting beforehand and said, have you got so-and-so lined up to be the political assistant? And he sort of shut me down. So I asked again, and he shut me down. And so I asked again, I've asked you now for a 3rd time, is so-and-so being lined up to be the political assistant? No, he's not. There's other candidates, and we'll go through them all. Lo and behold, he becomes political assistant.
So for £50,000 or 45 plus whatever taxes and whatnot, HR.
Yeah, so I think it's about 40 grand, and then that they get. But then obviously with the employers' insurance, national insurance, and all the rest of it, pension,
So he's got his mate a job for 40 grand, his best mate, and what? So there's a full-time job as a political assistant. When you would say that Reform actually has a lot of resources behind it, so it would be able to fund these independently if it really wanted to, couldn't it?
Well, you'd have thought so, because I mean, they've been in the media recently saying we've had the highest donations of any party at like £18 million over the last financial year. So there's got to be some money coming from somewhere. So surely they should have that expertise within head office. If people have got questions or things they need to know, they could go and speak to a political expert in head office to get that advice. So why the Warwickshire taxpayers are having to pay for that, I do not know.
And how many councils does Reform either control or have, a minority leader?
I think it's about 10 across the country. Yeah, it's quite a few.
So that would be
maybe
500 grand. Maybe you pay them a bit less because it's political parties. So it could be about 400 grand, and every council you'd have someone there, and that could be paid for by the party. But instead, they're forking out 150 and giving them to these other parties who apparently don't want them. But optics.
Yeah, and you've got the taxpayer paying for it, rather than the political party that have got this massive bundles of money apparently, but then also keep emailing councillors going, please consider a donation so we can top up our war chest.
And this is what
the local
the
branches
donations they're getting off the
perpetually
people,
running raffles to try
and then put it in their own
get
pockets,
funding
like
from their own people.
Yeah.
Instead of relying on what's been donated. With the to pay for your own stack of leaflets and get them printed off. How much have you paid for Restore's leaflets that you got? Nothing.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it's
20,000 delivered for the pricey sum of £0.
Yeah, so we've had support from upper management instantaneously, while in Restore it's fought tooth and nail and everyone is perpetually running. Okay, we run a raffle or an auction for just random stuff that we've put up, and even in the largest events they've done, we had an event where Lee Anderson turned up, and there was a massive auction in there where people are donating money, and I was like, just had a donation for like 9 million quid. Apparently it goes on better things like confetti.
They've ripped them people off,
The lack of support has always been stark, and it follows through all the way down to the lowest sections of people ignoring
money just like fucking scam.
Well, didn't they just pay for the energy bills apparently of an entire street of people who've been pictured with?
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah, so
what
I've
is
seen
that
this on social media the
proving?
last couple of days. So they
No, I just don't get that. What is that proving?
However, they seem to know Nigel
competition.
back
That's
from the Brexit
just
Party
making
days.
things worse. There's no
And
competition.
they are,
It's just
I think
not
it's the
proving
Wigan branch,
shit.
they're very, very well linked
I
in
don't
with that.
care. It's not
So
proving shit.
they're not unknown to Nigel Farage, and he just happens to
Yeah,
tap
but
on
they
the
do know
door.
him,
I
and
suppose
it's
a
just
bit
like,
like
what
Lee
is
Anderson when he
that?
was campaigning and he said to his mate, pretend you don't know
That's
me.
just silly.
So,
That's just wasting money and being
it does
silly,
seem a bit
mate.
like that, and from everything I've seen within Reform
I just
myself,
don't see all that
it would
proving
shock me.
shit.
Well, I mean, with Lee Anderson, wasn't he on record talking about being offered money by Reform at a certain point?
Probably. Nothing would surprise me. I mean, that event you went to in Bedworth, somebody did relay a story to me that Rishi Sunak, when he was in the Tory, like when Lee Anderson was in the Tories, had asked him to be Deputy Prime Minister. And he said no, because I earned £100,000 a year off GP reviews and they pay better, so putting them cash before the country.
That's why all the Conservatives were in the party.
It's a shock at what we've seen.
And everything else.
Our move to restore has always been these bad smells that accumulate from all these small little actions. We were ignoring a lot, and then all of a sudden we've just gone. We can't take the stench anymore of these bad decisions and these obvious failures to the party and the people. So we've turned around and gone, we can't be dealing with this, and the smell is just growing. Everyone can smell it. It's just perpetually there. I mean, how bad is it? If it wasn't with Farage knocking on this the door and showing that he's giving it to people he knows in a very
people was going to vote for Conservatives anyway.
Pile of bad smells.
Well, just not
people
vote
will
and carry
eventually
over.
keep smelling and go. People can only hold their nose for so long. It's going to get to a point.
But you say holding the nose. We know of councillors in Warwickshire that they can see the problems with reform, but they won't jump because they're so terrified the Lib Dems are going to win their area.
Yeah.
So they're just focused on their hatred of the Lib Dems and burying all the problems with reform.
Yeah.
So it's just like we need to focus on making sure they never win. And I've gone, but you can see this is happening. This,
so why bother doing that?
And this is happening. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but they're just pandering again to different people, different things.
And I'm like, you're so focused on the Lib Dems that you're willing to overlook all the other stuff.
The deepest performers we've spoken to all agree with our points. It gets to a point of they go, I get that,
but
Labour,
and
it's constant agreement with our issues. It's just they've got a higher tolerance for this bad smell, in my humble opinion. It's going to get to a point where the whole thing's going to collapse due to these poor decisions.
Reform will collapse, and it will be restored.
I think reform are on the road to implosion, definitely. I mean, the way they're tanking in the polls, I think they peaked in around October and have been on the decline ever since. And I think as more and more people are sort of waking up and smelling the coffee,
people like these
I
men
think they'll
implode
because it's a fight for the egos now, especially at the top with Farage and Jenrick and the like. I think they'll just implode as everybody tries to chase for the top job.
Well, you're forgetting all of the other Tories. Zahawi,
of course,
Braverman.
Zahawi is a classic one because in Stratford, the district I'm from, Zahawi is hated. In reform, it is viewed as losing Stratford singularly because of getting Zahawi.
Yeah, and also Robert Jenrick
running Stratford. It's like, doesn't matter. The smell is that bad for people in Stratford that they will not touch him. They will not go. They will not allow a party with him in it to go near Stratford. And what benefit did he bring? He was pulled in and then he didn't say anything. And then you look at his previous statements and they are all the opposite of what reform supposedly stood for.
Yeah.
All of these people that have come in, we've got examples of them saying the literal opposite of what reform is supposed to be standing for. They're pro-DEI, they're pro-mass immigration, they helped mass immigration, they brought in Boris Wade. All these people, there's no benefit to them, and yet they've been brought in. And you can only assume it's because they've brought money in.
Yeah,
they've got
just said that.
connections. You do this, I'll make you a law.
I've just said they got all that donation from the Tory party before they started it.
The thing was
they're lying about the Green Gang scandal and everything else.
To some people, it's probably controversial, but
and then that's why he said with Tommy Robinson and that
by choice, I wouldn't have had the vaccine, but at the
exactly,
my employer at the time I was working with didn't say it in direct words, but basically made it clear that we weren't allowed to return to work unless we'd been vaccinated. So, Zahawi has got a lot to answer for, I think, and so just welcoming him into a party with open arms, it really makes me question the authenticity of that party. Why?
Give him hush puppy money to shut up about vaccine or anything else.
Article of the Nuremberg Code
says
full informed consent.
And then they brought him in,
he ignored that, he broke that.
I mean,
which many people will see as unlawful medical
action. They're not going to use it against people. I
would agree. I had COVID.
We don't want another one of them.
I know it was COVID in January 2020.
We don't want Muslims
and I had
in
some
the party.
issues.
No, I'm not being racist.
I got vaccinated, and
Exactly,
developed new issues, which for the last 6 years now have been under testing through the NHS.
Yeah.
And all they keep saying, oh, it's long COVID, it's long COVID.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that doesn't solve my problem, does it? I've still now got this long-term health issue as a result of
vaccine. Thank you.
When I had the vaccination.
And I've got the same long-term health problems because of it.
You can't ask too many of those questions, otherwise you'll be very much told off questioning vaccines and all that. I didn't end up taking the vaccine due to me. As soon as it was offered to people below the age of 65, I was very questioning. And I was happily to be in a job which only had to constantly do the swab test of constantly put in the back of your nose to make sure I was okay going around care homes and such. But I was... the way COVID was handled and the way that these politicians have been brought into reform were the best good faith argument I can have is they were following the rules to try and keep their jobs, and they had pressure from other locations. They didn't necessarily believe it themselves, but they were told to. But that shows a lack of good character in even the best possible terms. So I don't see what they can bring to this party when we're supposed Reform was supposed to be the party of the people and good faith and
they're not. They've lied.
Decent politics again, instead of this bad faith high school politics of calling people names instead of attacking the argument.
Yeah, and
that's what I get on social media. Ever since I've joined Restore Britain, all of the hate and the negative comments online have all been from reformers. And it's like they've just formed this cult of Farage. And they're just going, wow, you're Restore, we're just going to have a go at you. You don't hear anything off the Greens or the Lib Dems or Labour or anything. It's just all reform. And all the hate and the bile and everything. And I've gone, hang on a minute, but 12 months ago, you were accusing all the left-wing parties of this, and now you have become them
fucking
to Restore Britain.
He doesn't hate Rupert Lowe, he doesn't like him. But he doesn't
So how's it feel being in Restore now and backing Rupert?
He doesn't agree because he's a lefty.
The people are great.
Obviously, what
like,
Rupert Lowe's saying.
People in head office.
What's been saying all the time,
And they're just like, yeah, how can we help? Yeah, no problem.
Leave it with
us, we'll get back to you. And they do get back to you. They don't just ignore you.
And Keir Starmer knows, I think he's just backing down to something now, because he's not doing anything about anything.
Knock on the door from a delivery man and he goes, oh, there's a box for you. I think,
and I'm going to say, I think Keir Starmer was 9 garage.
So these 5 massive boxes and then posters and banners and all sorts of stuff. I was like, and I haven't had to pay for any of this.
Rather than the rest of them.
This is new. And then setting up the branch, had to hire some venues to do it, and it's going to cost. And Restore just had, look, send us a receipt.
I have a lot of Asian friends that are English Asian and they don't want all of this.
Yeah, they've just been brilliant and everybody's just,
I'm going to say they're sick of it as well.
Just chat's friends.
Pulling everybody,
but they've been so
pulling their
supportive and great.
community down, pulling them down, pulling
this feels alien because I've not been used to this for the last 10 months. But it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Still a bit shell-shocked. Got Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah. I am a little bit. But I was never in love with my captor before.
I can't believe they've gone to Restore Britain.
You don't realise how much you're putting up with. This bad smell that I was talking about, you don't realise how much you're putting up with until you take the ruby glasses off and remove the plugs from your nose and you go, oh my good God. And then you walk into a room of fresh air and you just...
And you go, I'm out of it.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's the relief, the hope. I swear I hadn't felt, because we'd given up hope on Reform being the right party for so long, and you're sort of going along with it because you're hoping everything's going to be okay, but then you have this realisation of like, oh my God, it's going to be okay, we're doing the right thing, everything's going in the right direction. Like, yeah, it's.
Well, yeah, because that's what we fought with before.
I called him up and I said, how's the feeling of euphoria you've been having? He's like, it still hasn't gone, mate. It was genuinely euphoric. We're still happy about it, and I can get giddy now thinking about how much better it is.
So it's
stark, and people don't realise how stark the difference is.
What would you say?
I mean, just meeting Rupert was completely different to meeting Nigel. So this time last year, we were in Bedworth.
This is why I can't wait to meet.
And we get told, Nigel's on his way. Okay, right. So we all have to form a semicircle, and we all have to get the Reform posters out. Nigel turns up with about 5 close protection guys, a videographer, photographer, late. Then it's all, you need to form when he comes in, you all need to cheer and this and...
sorry. Yeah. They told you that you had to cheer. Yeah. Did they hold up a little sign saying applause?
Yeah. Pretty much. And I was just like, this is really cringy. So we did that, and then they said, "Oh, you can't take any glasses with you when you go to shake Nigel's hand and have your picture." So we had to leave our glasses at the back of the room after got a drink from the bar. Then we had to form a queue to then go and shake Nigel's hand and have a picture. And you literally spoke to him for about 10 seconds at most. We met Rupert. He got the train from Parliament to Kent. Got off the train, just walked in to where we were. It was just like, "Oh, everybody, how you doing?" Just like no crew, no entourage, no nothing. And then it was like, "Pub? Yeah, let's go to the pub." just sat there in this nice bar, just chatting to Rupert, and it was just like, this is just different. This is worlds apart. Like, there's no ego. There's no, "Do you know who I am?" It's just, "How you doing?" Just one bloke talking to another.
Yeah, and you don't have to
so different.
reform. You don't have to reform as a different person and lie to yourself.
Because everyone's on the same page. Instead of having to be like, "We should all be got to do this one." That is, it's very, very different to, as I said, stark. Absolutely stark.
You don't have to perform and pretend.
Yeah, and that's what gets me with, you get online, you see these people going, "Oh, it's all about egos, and Restore Britain's just a vanity project because Rupert's has his ego bruised." I'm like, yeah, let me compare what I've experienced the last 10 months to what I've experienced for the last 2 months. There's no ego there. This is about doing what's right for the country.
Yeah. And
so how do your constituents in your wards feel about you moving over to Restore?
These are proper two men.
99% of people have been absolutely positive. The day the news came out that we defected, I thought, I've got a parish council meeting tonight, this could be interesting. So I walked into the parish council meeting, room full of people.
And this is exactly what we want.
Because there was some other things going on. So I knew it was going to be popular, but I thought, this could be interesting. I might get lynched when I walk in here, it might be okay. And I walked in, this bloke comes straight up to me, a local chap.
Not like a
shook my hand and said, "Congratulations, welcome to Restore Britain." I thought, we'll be right.
Oh, look how happy
everybody
they
I've
look.
spoken to have just said, "Look,
in Restore Britain.
well done."
Look how happy they look. No, but look how happy
quite a few people have said, "Look, I don't really care what party you represent.
Well, I do.
For us, you're doing a great job, and that's what it's about, being a local councillor. So as long as you keep doing a great job, then, And I actually had emails from parish council clerks saying, "I hope we're not going to lose you as a councillor." I said, no, I'll still serve my term, I'm just under a different badge now.
You'd be on
like,
Restore
because you've done so much for us already. That's nice. Thank you.
Good.
Everybody's been great, really.
Because that means there is
there's
other
only
people
one or
out
two,
there
but they're just the
other,
keyboard
other
warriors
areas.
online, so I'm kind of like,
a lot of
you
other
would never
areas
vote
that
for me
go to
anyway,
Restore
because
councillors already, which is good.
you look at the profile and you go, well, you voted Labour for the last 30 years, so whether I was in Reform or I'm in Restore, you were still going to have something to say. So, generally it's been really, really positive, and the support around here has been great.
From all the wrong-wingers I've had, nothing but positivity. All the people I was already friends with have completely agreed, and all the people who didn't appreciated our work in the council anyway, because we were obviously putting people before a party at that level. Because there's when it comes to local politics, that only really happens in Shire Hall when you're dealing with people in the parishes and the town councils. All those things are almost non-political. Wow. It's very just, are you a nice person? Do you care about the local area? And we've both proven yes. So nobody's really had any problems with us moving anywhere. But we've definitely had more positives because the lefties don't really see it as a difference. So but all of the people who were already on side are massively on side. When you have the conversation, we talk to the people who are involved with reform. They all have the same problems as us, but have that shielding because they're willing to put up with it because they think it's the right thing. But all of the voters, they don't have to have that shield up, and they don't have to join the cult. So they're very much like, no, this makes complete sense. I've had calls and messages from random people I haven't spoken to since high school, message me on Facebook going, "Oh look, I saw you on the thing, it's great." And I'm like, cool. But it's just normal people standing up for their area, and we don't want to be the Tories, and we do want to stand up for our local area. But that means as an MP you're supposed to be standing up for your local area as well.
One of the best comments I think happened to me a couple of weeks ago is a lady approached me at parish council, and she said, "Look, I'll be honest, I didn't vote for you because I don't like Nigel Farage." I was like, fair enough. And she said, "But this last nearly 12 months, everything you've done for us, I really appreciate it." And she went, and I got your leaflet through the door, and I've seen a bit about Rupert and whatnot, and he's a farmer, and that's great. So I'll be voting for you next time. So brilliant. Thank you very much.
So the main accusation and the main attack from Reform,
I just said that, good man.
is that
And
you
you'll
guys
win
are
it. You're
splitting
gonna
the
win it
vote,
next time.
and actually there are all these people who can only go for the one vote route, which is Reform. Is that statement true?
Absolutely not. I mean, you've had Gorton and Denton by-election.
Exactly.
You had the other by-election on Thursday. I can't remember the name of the place in Kent. Both beaten by the Greens. Like Reform have lost to the Greens at both places.
Yeah. All
Restore
they've lost
haven't
the
got a
Greens in
candidate
both places.
So how can we be blamed for splitting the vote when they can't even beat the Greens like without us around? And on top of that, I think it was over 40% of people in the last general election didn't vote. Restore is encouraging them people into the party.
To vote.
So people that either have never voted or refrained from voting at the last, or abstained from voting at the last election, that's who the majority of people joining Restore. So when they say splitting the vote, absolute nonsense.
No, they're not splitting
the vote. And I think there are quite a lot of people joining from
the vote. That's
Reform. I have no doubt. I mean, just coincidental, I suppose, that the membership ticker disappeared offline off the Reform's website, as the membership's no doubt doing that. So yeah, I don't think we'll split the vote. I think it'll be Reform split and vote when it comes to the general election, especially general election. Yeah.
Do you think there's a hardcore base of people who feel burnt by Reform who just won't go back and won't vote that way regardless?
I think so. I mean, I've spoken to members, so we had our first branch meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I've spoken to them and said, oh yeah, we voted Reform, we were Conservative and we went to Reform because we thought Reform were going to be the vehicle to drive the change that we wanted. We've sort of seen it for the true colours and they've accepted all these failed Tories in and they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's all about the stage shows and the pyrotechnics, and one minute the policy's this, then it's that, and they've only started coming back to the right because of Restore Britain, and they've gone, yeah, we've seen through him. Farage is just a showman, and he'll change his policy depending on where he sort of gets mass applause. So they've got no sincerity. We don't actually know what their policies are and what they really stand for. So yeah, no chance we'll be going back to Reform.
You can't guarantee that they'll hold those stances of any of their policies because they will change as they change. And we started this going, there are rumours about Farage being this or that.
And he's lied about the Greenbank scandal, he's lied about everything,
politics,
and he's
friends and being a showman.
He's actually brought decent good people into his life.
The problem being is we were holding our nose to that.
I was going to say,
we've
can't
had
say
a lot of
they
instances
haven't
now
done
where
it
those
lately,
have been proven
haven't
true.
done that as well.
There's a lot more evidence now
Of course, I have.
all of the critics
This
of
is just as bad.
Farage
What
were
Nine
now
Crowns has done to
absolutely
people is
correct.
just as bad.
And it's a shock that people, that it's gotten this far.
And I'm glad I've not voted for Reform. I'm glad
that people couldn't see it before, and that people
glad
see it. People are showing it now.
And I'm waiting for Restore Britain and waiting for
everyone in Reform.
I've got my chance
the votes on
to go
May
down.
7th, I believe people will only be voting
Show
Reform
them support
for
and vote
basically
for
holding
Rupert.
out
Put
until
my name
Restore
down.
get there. I almost guarantee a few conversions, to be honest. They'll get in and go like, nah, let's smell the roses elsewhere when we've got these branches set up. And it'll be a fight all the way to the end. But I think Reform will collapse before the general election.
Yeah, they will collapse before then. Yeah, and then you see Restore Britain is going to come, and I tell you what, I told you, because they decided that they were that was the thing I was going to record in a minute, wasn't I? And I was doing it because I had to, that I was doing the other video thing, putting that video thing together. And the thing is, this is what I mean. They're lying again, and they're not going to go anywhere. Reform are going to collapse, like you say, beforehand of it all, because they've not got anywhere to fucking go. Oh, here it is. This is what Talk TV is saying about Reform.
He is...
And now, these Talk TV are now smearing Elon Musk as well. Cheeky bastards. Yeah, trying to smear Elon Musk as well, but Nigel Farage was all for Elon Musk before. But now he's not. And she's trying to blame Restore Britain a bit. She can fuck right off.
views of former government minister, best-selling author and radio host Edwina Curry. Good afternoon, Edwina.
And you.
Hello,
Don't
Mark.
fucking
May I
care.
say,
Go away.
you look a little hot. Shall we
Yeah,
take
well,
pity
we'll
on
keep
you?
you cool.
Yes.
Jackets may be
No.
removed, as they say
Down.
in Lords.
Fill
The thing
this
is,
down with
Edwina,
some
I would
water,
remove
alright?
clothes, but that will affect the ratings.
Yeah, fill some water.
Well, they might go up.
You never know. You'll
Yeah,
have
we've
to
gone
ask
down.
Mrs. Dolan.
Don't really
Edwina,
know
it is a
what
bit
to watch,
sweltering in
I'm
here,
watching just 'cause I
although
know what
Nicola
I know
Sturgeon is
what-
most certainly
what's
sweating
before
this
a bit.
afternoon.
You have to wonder, you know,
Yeah,
she's
talk about
taken
her
some
finance. Why don't you
impressions
talk
of what's
about Nigel
involved.
Farage's finance and what
Bit
he's
like
been
Jeremy
up to as
Corbyn
well?
at certain funerals.
Yay!
This has been going on for
We
years.
know.
It's 3 years since the police really started properly investigating. And it was, I think, about 2 years before that, before it became apparent that something like £600,000 was not accounted for in the SNP accounts.
Money's not been
It
accounted for.
transpired they haven't actually filed proper accounts for about 10 years.
Into
under
the
Peter
government
Ross.
and the
So,
taxes
somebody,
and
like
whatever else is going on
whoever
with that.
was the nearest person around with access
So,
to all the paperwork, should perhaps have been saying, what the
That's
hell's
perhaps
going on
saying they've all
here?
been doing
And
it.
it transpired she didn't.
And then you
How
call
can you
Rupert
have
Lowe and they don't.
two
Rupert Lowe
copy
that hasn't
machines,
done it.
plus a load of cheap Nescafe Gold Blend
Yeah, what
coffee
about
as
Nigel
well,
Farage?
and not think, where's all this money coming from? Why are we wasting money?
Why is Nigel Farage
It's not very
wasting money?
Scottish
Not
at all,
agreeing
is
with
it?
Well,
Garland
it isn't,
scandal.
and
It's not
the
very
couple
English,
are
is
not
it?
rich. I was having a look at Peter Murrell's career, most
Not
of
very
which has
British,
been
is
in
it?
politics, which, as you know, Edwina, doesn't pay
Edwina,
prodigiously
well,
well. He did a
Edwina,
couple of years
you
in
need to wake
PR
up and
before
go away.
becoming a rather central figure in the SNP.
Just an old
They were
woman.
not rich, and therefore someone like
Piss
Nicola
off.
Sturgeon, who became First Minister, would surely have noticed these expensive items coming into the House.
What's what I
I
say
would
about
have
Elon
thought
Musk
so.
in a minute and
I
then
mean, there was a
Rupert Lowe?
Jaguar parked on the drive.
Taking the
Okay,
fucking
power
piss,
couple,
maybe Rupert Lowe,
combined
Elon Musk and
over
Rupert Lowe together.
200,000 a year, but that's gross.
That's
They've been
it,
paying a
fucking
lot of
piss,
tax on
man.
that.
Yeah.
Piss that.
And, you know, oh,
We were all
don't
for
you bought
Elon
yourself
Musk
a new
before
toy.
and now the fucking
Really?
smearing.
Isn't that a little expensive? I remember when my husband decided he
Well,
was
I
going to
hope.
buy a Tesla.
Well, I fuck
And
it
I
up
did
with
say to
it.
him rather bluntly, and how are you going to pay for that? Making it quite clear it
Well,
wasn't going to
you
be
got a
me.
Tesla,
And he
but
said,
don't
"I'm
go
gonna
like
sell a
Elon
Porsche."
Musk.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Having inquired in a Porsche, well, it
Well,
was
I
a
hope
second-hand one.
fucking
It
Elon
came from
Musk
somebody he knew,
wants to
kind of thing,
fucking
his
do
ex-copper.
Talk TV after
So at
this.
least, you know, I did inquire.
sorry,
I did ask
but
the
I hope he
question.
does.
Nicola is claiming she didn't even know. I don't believe a word of it.
Give a
These are the
fuck about
conversations
it,
that
because
husbands and wives have, and
they're
that's
gonna
why
get
it
all they're
stretches
getting.
credibility.
Like Lisa and
And
all.
this is in the context
Yeah.
of a Scotland that has been immeasurably worsened under SNP rule.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, they got to the stage where the police were in big trouble, where actually drug taking and deaths from drug taking are amongst the highest in Europe, where you know there were really great anxieties about the way the Scottish economy was going under what amounted to an independence regime. But I feel for the people in the SNP, you know, people who are interested in politics and who contribute and make their little donations and so on. And they're the ones who really feel betrayed. The rest of us are highly abused and gobsmacked at it. It's a wonderful, wonderful story for anybody who believes in conspiracy theories in politics. But the people who are members of the SNP,
What, like
ordinary
Nigel?
people,
I can't
sending
everyone.
off their
Oh.
20 quid or whatever, they
it's gonna
must
go
be feeling absolutely gutted right now.
Well,
Yeah.
the SNP, Edwina, looks to be
Fucking hell.
incompetent and a cowboy.
Well, at least one senior person in the SNP is about to go down for nicking £400,000 from it, and nobody else noticed.
What about
Pardon me.
Nigel Farage?
Well, that's right. Now, Edwina, let's get to the Makerfield by-election,
Here we
which
are.
is playing out as we speak.
Let's
Many
just
think
get that.
that a divided right will gift this seat to Andy Burnham.
No, we won't.
Are you one of them?
There's only one reason why I'm wearing a turquoise t-shirt today. It's nothing to do with politics. It just happened to be the one at the top of the clean pile.
Have you just had lunch with Richard Tice? Are you seeing someone else, Edwina?
No, Mark, only you. You're absolutely right. The polling shows it's neck and neck between Burnham and Reform. But
Bullshit.
if the 7% who are saying to the pollsters that they would support Reform instead, then Burnham wouldn't stand a chance. And a lot of it, of course, depends on turnout. To some extent, I think
This is
Elon
when
Musk
to
can
play
take some of the
Elon
blame on
Musk.
this because he's been actively supporting
Cheeky
Restore,
bastard.
who are the tail end of reform, as it were, the Rupert Lowe lot, the Great Yarmouth lot. And he is rumoured to be giving money to them. I mean, you can't survive as a small party without dosh. You've got to be able to pay the staff, the headquarters, the websites, and all that kind of thing. But if the money is coming from a multi-billionaire like Elon Musk, then you could find yourself in the big time. Something very tacky happening at the heart of our politics here, with so much money coming in from outsiders and shoring up British politics by outsiders who aren't our citizens, who don't have a vote here, trying to interfere. That I don't feel is a really good look. On the other hand, I see what Andy is doing, and it's all about vote for Andy. He's not saying vote Labour, is he?
No.
But that wouldn't get him anywhere.
George Fawkes was on the show earlier, and I think he'd been on the cooking sherry, Edwina, because he thinks that Andy Burnham will win this by-election, but not remove Starmer from number 10. He thinks that Andy Burnham will serve in a very dutiful and loyal way in a Starmer cabinet. Do you agree with that?
Anything could happen. This is a
probably,
political bingo, isn't it? You know, what's the number that comes up next? Anything could happen. I mean, at the moment, the most likely thing is that Burnham will not actually win. In which case, that's him. That's his career
about
finished.
Elon
He
Musk.
would go
I'll
back
tell
to
you
being
what
mayor
it
of
is.
Manchester.
Right.
Resigned
It's
from
because
that.
Nigel Farage can't go on right about outsiders when he might have just had one from someone from fucking Russian spies and whoever they are.
We'll have some kind of election of the leadership, and Starmer will try and stand and maybe again split the vote. Who knows what will happen?
Elon Musk can get the money through different ways, thank
because
you.
you just don't know what the outcome's going to be. Except you should be pretty sure these days that whoever is the front runner
Because Rupert Lowe might support Tesla cars.
Andy Burnham
From
deserves
you
credit
know.
for aspects
I'm not
of
saying
economic
he does,
development
but
in the Greater
let's
Manchester
just say,
area.
you know, we
Plus
might
his
support
policy has been
AI.
very popular. He's probably better at politics than Keir Starmer. But I don't
Rupert
think that he
Lowe
would
might
be a better
support
Prime
Elon
Minister.
Musk.
I think given the fact that if he gets into number 10, he will do so off the back of left-wing support.
And his
I'm worried they'll want their pound of
multi-million
flesh.
empire
I
of
would
things.
prefer to stick with Starmer. What do you think?
And business.
Well, a hell of a lot of what Andy Burnham claims the credit for in Manchester was actually started under Margaret Thatcher
And a very
John
successful
Major,
business
for example, the whole
person.
of the trams,
So,
which is a
you
fabulous
know,
project, and has turned Manchester
that's
into
okay
a
for
kind of
Rupert Lowe
big
to get
international city.
some support from
and
a
has
very
cut costs for a lot
good
of
business
people.
person, you
That
know,
was
a good
started under previous
entrepreneur business
governments that got nothing
person.
to do with Andy Burnham. I think he saw his opportunity when the city was
I
already
don't give a
doing
fuck
rather
about
well.
Andy Burnham,
A
all
lot
the
of
rest of
money that's
them.
been spent. There's
Yeah,
been
well, money's
private
been
money,
spent on
Peel Holdings,
Nigel Farage,
the company that
dodgy.
owns the Manchester
It's the
ship
same
canal,
with
the
them,
docks
it's
area.
dodgy.
It's all been private money. A lot of
Private
that
money
has
like
nothing to
Nigel
do with
Farage
Mr.
is
Burnham.
a...
But he's cute enough, he's smart enough
He's
to
smart
claim
enough
the
to
credit.
lie.
As when he gets into Parliament, would he do what he has
No,
been
just like
promising
Nigel
during
Farage
this
won't do.
campaign? Probably not.
No.
I mean, he's made other promises before.
Yeah, like Nigel
My
hasn't, he's
worry,
never
of
stuck
course,
with
is
any of
that
it.
in order to sustain his
Stuff
position
off.
in Parliament, he would have to pander to the lefties
And so
on
is
the
Nigel.
backbenches in order to get anything through. They're
Pandering
not
to
going to
them.
vote for any kind of reform of the welfare
Of course
system,
not.
which is what we desperately need.
Yeah.
They're not going to vote for
They're
a
not going to vote
reduction
for
in
them because
minimum
they're
wage,
Conservatives,
which is what
obviously.
young people need if they're going to get into employment.
Of course the
They're
Labour
not going
side
to
will
vote
vote
for
for
essential
Conservatives.
visas for the people that we need in the care industry. You know, there's a whole range of things.
No,
that,
because they're not going to vote
they
Nigel
will vote for
Farage
more
because
money.
he's Conservative,
And they
isn't
will
it?
vote for more of our money and for more taxes, and they're going to make life much,
Oh,
much
shut
harder
up.
in this
Nigel
country.
Farage is
They're going to
lying,
kill
love.
growth completely.
Most definitely. Now, Edwina, you're an experienced former politician and you are a
Just the same as them.
principled but pragmatic person. You would like to see a Conservative Prime Minister in number 10 at the next election. Do you take the view that if it's Farage, so be it?
No, I don't take that view. I think Kemi Badenoch is worth an awful lot more than Farage. Farage is a very clever propagandist. That's not at all the same thing as being good at running the country.
Oh, all right, she's
Anybody
not
that wants
quite
to run
with
the
reform,
country
all right.
after the next general election, which of course could be sooner than
So
the
she's
2 or 3
conservative.
years that it has to be legally, but also be starting to do the work now, just like Margaret Thatcher did in the 1970s when she was leader of the opposition. When she set up think tanks and research, she asked some very fundamental questions.
And this is
Some of
what
the
I
answers
think
that
they're
came
doing
back
with
were really
Kelly
tough
Bates.
ones,
They're
like,
not
you've got to control
a bit of a
unions,
deal.
you
That's
can't
what they've
keep
been
paying
doing.
them when
Yeah.
they're on strike, because you know what, they're going to come back and strike for
That's
more,
what the
which is
reform
what's
are
been
going.
happening
That's what
under
they're
this
doing. A
government.
deal
And she then
to get the
really
Conservative
struggles to put a lot
voters.
of that good common sense
That's
into
what they've
effect.
been doing. There we
Because there's
are.
always objections, there's always the people who are going to lose out, there's always people,
Yeah.
we call them vested interests, but they are the people who are badly affected by positive change. And right now they're sitting on the backbenches and they wear Labour garb. In future they might be sitting on the backbenches and wearing Reform garb. So, no, I'd like to see a proper Tory government with a proper majority and all that homework and research done so we can move forward.
Do you think you will have to wait until the next election but one for that to happen?
Oh, bless, I think I'll be pushing up the daisies by then.
It's never going to happen. Your body's a temple, Edwina.
Thank you. Well, it's going to take a long time, it always does, for a party to recover after a really catastrophic